Good day, y'all. Another day in paradise. I had someone comment recently on one of my videos. How can you talk about spirituality and be smoking a cigar while drinking some toxic poison or whatever it was that I was drinking? And it's a great question because it takes me back to a time in my life where I was a perfectionist and I could see very little between the black and white. What this person's comment conveys to me is a lack of understanding of the nuance of reality. And that nuance exists in many forms. But in the form of me smoking a cigar, many people might come onto the video and project, Logan, you're a health coach. How can you be coaching people about health when you smoke cigars? How can you be doing anything if you have one beer a day or one beer a year or one beer a week, right? I used to be like this. And it's something that I noticed in my healing journey. There's a neuroticism that comes with being healthy and being healthy to the extent where you can't go out past 9 o'clock to go on a date with a girl. You can't have a beer every once in a while with friends. I did this with friends that I used to have from high school, and I lost a lot of these friends because they were just drinking buddies. That's okay. I'm not saying that you got to be in relationships with people long term because you shared previous habit patterns. What I am saying is there's a lot of nuance to this where in order to be a really healthy human, we have to actually be able to let go of our identity with everything that we're doing day to day. And we pick up these identities in order to be able to shift into new realities. So when I picked up the identity of doing the carnivore diet, you could say I was a um, carnivorian or whatever they call it. I never called myself that. When I did the vegetarian diet, I never said I'm a vegetarian. Even when I was a nurse, I never held my title. I would tell people I was a nurse so they would know that I was a nurse, but I never held it in such regard of like, this is my identity and I'm attached to it. And so people can see me smoking a cigar and they can judge me from their own judgments and their own perceptions of how can this guy talk about anything um, when he's doing this one thing. And this is where people get triggered. People get triggered because I'm going to quote Samuel Sagan in his book, Awakening the Third Eye. This guy was very spiritually aware and he did a lot of things in order to get there. He essentially said some funny shit when I was listening to his audio recordings through his trainings. He created a school called Clair Vision. Through his trainings, he said some stuff that was like not PC, and he laughed. And this guy's no longer alive, by the way. He laughs and he goes, when you're teaching spiritual teachings or anything in the esoteric or anything at all, it's really important to say things that are not politically correct at first in order to repel any student or anyone watching to leave the video because they're not actually going to be able to handle whatever you're telling them. And so when people tell me, Logan, whatever you're doing is wrong, I usually look back. I just look at them, and I pour compassion into them, and I go, "Wow, this is someone who is likely one extremely judgmental and critical of themselves that they have to do everything. Two, they're extremely judgmental and critical of other people that they have to be exactly like them. And I have been there. That's the only reason I can understand it and send compassion that way because it's a justification for not being able to be fully authentic yourself. I've had a lot of people send me messages about XYZ thing that I've done in my video that's wrong. And I just had a conversation with a friend today. He goes, dude, 20%, 25%, 50% of what you say I might not agree with, but there's no doubt I can't deny that you are being authentic and you're being yourself. And I agreed with him, and I also said, "Yeah, man, there are times where I post a video and the next day I don't agree with what I said." And this takes a tremendous amount of vulnerability to be able to show up like this, and I did not be able to get here overnight. I got here through continuously putting myself in pretty difficult situations where I had to sit with my emotions. So if you're someone who is spending time commenting on other people's videos, TikToks, whatever it is, and you find yourself sending judgment to another person, I just invite you to look at that, because you don't have to be like me. I actually don't want you to. I want you to be your own person. But at the end of the day, if you're commenting on other people's stuff and it's anything but positive, and I'm not talking toxic positivity, you don't have to be positive all the time. You can, of course, comment on people's stuff and say, I have a different opinion. But the energy of it, of judgment and criticism for the sake of judgment and criticism, so that the person falls back into your pattern of thinking, that's just far from the truth. Now, if you have an opinion of something and you speak it and it's your truth, there's a different energy that comes with that, as opposed to when someone just sends, "Oh yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a dumbass." Like it's a completely different energy. So for any of you guys who are looking to step up in leadership, in being able to lead yourself to victory first and foremost, because that's what leadership is. You can't ever lead anyone else unless they can see that you're a leader to yourself and to other people. Well, in order to be able to do this, and I don't have a script right now. This is coming off the top of my dome, but I came from such a judgmental past. Such a judgmental past. There's been so much shit in my family line of just from me being able to observe um, past behavior patterns of parents and family members and myself. There's been so much doubt in the family bloodline. And there isn't a family that doesn't have something in their bloodline that is causing some kind of distortion or pattern of negativity. And if it's not happening now, it will eventually come up. In the great age that we're in right now, if you're watching this video, it's 2025. I don't know if I'm talking to someone in 2300. If I am, what's up? Um, but if you're in 2025, right now in this age, we are approaching a great divide. The great divide will occur in the form of many people going down the route of continuing to be consumed by technology to the point where they want to become a robot. And it's not going to look like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to sign a form and become a robot. It is going to slowly creep up as it has been for the past 20 years. You can see the amount of people wearing devices in their ears every day that are Bluetooth. And it's creating a relationship where technology is being stuck on the body at all times. And it creates this illusion that the body needs the technology in order to be human. And in my world, that couldn't be further from the truth. When I am most human, I am away from technology. Now, God bless YouTube because I can talk to you. But at this stage in the game, I am not going to be one of those guys putting a chip in my brain. And I'm definitely not the guy, if you watch my old YouTube shit, I'm not the guy that got anything injected into my arm either. And so we're in a phase right now where there are powers that be, there are technologies, and there's this technological system that is going to want to put people directly into the matrix. We already are in the matrix to an extent, but there's going to be a new level to that in which people are going to choose to live in this world, which is going to be a new version of it because there's going to be a great divide. And that divide has been happening for a long time. And ultimately, what people are experiencing now, the people who are awakening to a different version of what they want to be are experiencing great pain. And through that pain, they have to transcend to a more truthful version of themselves. And as we all begin our path of searching for the truth, which requires a lot of vulnerability, It requires a lot of fucking up. It requires a lot of judging yourself and letting that go, judging others and letting it go, and realizing the only thing that matters is the truth. And if I'm in front of someone else and they want the truth and I want the truth, we're going to work together to find the truth together. That's a completely different reality from people who want to live in an illusion of I need to do this thing in order to get what I want. And in order to get what I want, I'll do anything that it takes. I will even use deception, if that's the name of the game, which is the whole entire mass media propaganda that has been existing for a long time. And all the boomers are having a very hard time making a transition out of that. If they're hip, like a Gary Vee, he's not a boomer, but he's an old dude who understands things because he has kept up with technology, and he has not I would say he might even be one of the people that is super obsessed with technology to a point where it might not be healthy, but he hasn't just continued to live like a lot of the old people I've seen. And no judgment to old people, they're awesome. When I'm old, I'll have my flaws and my old ways of wanting to do things. But I see a lot of old people now, they are just glued to these mass media programs, the news. My generation now and the younger generations, they're getting their news from TikTok, which is unfortunate because TikTok and X and all these other platforms, but TikTok in particular is unfortunate because there's so much speed in the technology that the attention span of humans is being shrunken to the point where people will not even be able to read long form content anymore. And if you can't read long form content anymore, you won't be able to decipher the truth. You won't be able to see the nuance in things and be able to make rational and discerned decisions off of what you're seeing, because you can only really focus for 90 seconds or less listening to someone else who is an authority figure in a video. So one of the reasons my videos are usually so long, I don't know how long this one's going to go. We're already at 12 minutes. If you're at 12 minutes right now, good job. Most of the people who watch my videos, even the ones that get a lot of views, they stop at 3 minutes. So this is a representation of where we're at in the world. Now, based on the content I've been posting, the experiences I've had, and I've been posting a lot on TikTok recently, and I'm seeing that a lot of people are experiencing a tremendous amount of pain. Humanity is in a drastic amount of pain in terms of disconnection. I was working on a client just yesterday, and this person was so disconnected from his body. When I walk into his house, not really smiling, pretty flat, kind of apathetic. And then walk into his house, start working on him, and I'm doing myofascial release on his body, by the way. So I'm working on him, and I'm trying to connect to his body because he's disconnected from it, and I'm trying to find the spot where I can start getting closer to the root. And it's taking me a little bit of time. Well, what's interesting, I start as I get closer and closer, and I finally find the root. I'm working on that, and he drops into his body for the first time in a long time. And I'm looking around in his house, and he's got everyone in his family, his mom, his wife, his kids, they're all on their phones. Even at one point while I was working on him, he turned over on his back because I started working on his psoas, and he went on his phone for a second. And I'm like, dude, we're in the middle of a session where you're connecting with yourself. So if you choose to connect to your phone over connecting with yourself, that's okay. But what's more important right now? The fragmentation of our attention will lead to a fragmentation in our life. If we fragment and allow distortions to occur where we're breaking mirrors all the time, choosing extra pieces, which is video, thing, all these things at once, and we don't have the ability to hone our focus, our attention through silence and solitude, through connecting with nature, through putting away the technology, through being able to sit in a house with absolute silence and not do anything. The Italians call this, I don't remember the expression, dolce de vita or something like that. It's the joy of doing nothing. You can see this in a lot of European cultures. When I lived in Colombia, I loved living in Colombia because I was making six figures a year as a 25-year-old. And I moved to that country because I saw people with $0 in their bank account happier than me because they were present and they weren't fragmented. And I was in Costco today. What an absolute cattle show that place is. It reminds me of the airport. I'm just watching everyone walking around, just consuming, consuming, consuming. And today I was I was tired and fatigued, but I had a groundedness to me, but I was also very in my head. But it was interesting because I was walking around Costco and I got this deep feeling that I was in the Matrix because I could just see everyone looking around, looking left and right. And I've done this when I'm in Costco many times, so no judgment. Just trying to see what they can buy so that they can feel a little bit more. If I buy this $600 Dyson vacuum, I'll have that thing and it will make me a little bit happier. If I clean the house, it'll make me a little bit happier. I shot this TikTok video about storage units and it's at like it's been sitting in my TikTok folder for a couple weeks now and it's been slowly going up and it's at like 15,000 now views, which isn't much, but it keeps going up because I hit on something where there's this consumeristic nature uh, to humanity, especially the West, where we just think we can buy and get all this tech and our lives will be better. And it's a great friend of mine, Mickey, said, eventually all the things you own will own you. And what that means doesn't mean you need to be like a digital nomad like me, because I really want to settle down and grow roots in an essence of being able to have a space again that's my own consistently over time and I can stay in a community. Because I did the digital nomad thing and it's great. It teaches a lot about getting rid of things and you can't carry too much because if you carry too much, you're cooked. So that was a great season of my life. But what I'm learning about all these things is if you start to acquire so much stuff that you got to get a storage unit and you got to get a bigger house and all this stuff owns you. It takes away from your freedom because every single thing that you own will eventually become a decision in which you must give it away, you must sell it, you must get rid of it, you must throw it away, you must take it to the dump. If you have 5,000 things in your house and you have a 5-bedroom house and you just keep adding, and then you get a storage unit, what will end up happening is you have a lot of decisions to make at a certain point in your life. And usually, when people make the decision to get rid of all these things, they're not in a good place. And so then it brings on a tremendous amount of stress. So I know we started off on judgment and then we got into kind of the transhumanism stuff. But ultimately what I want to tell you is let me just get my body. Keep taking steps forward. Keep challenging the narrative that you have inside your head. Don't allow black and white thinking to contain you in doing the same thing. Your conventional norms and your comfort are what is holding you back from being able to be deeply connected with your highest self and God. If you're not deeply connected with your highest self and God, you will continue to look for comfort in your life, which means you will continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. If you do the same thing over and over and over again, that is the definition of insanity. The only way that you can create what you really want is to do it in the unknown. And I got a little bee that just landed on me right as I said that. Wow, thanks, little guy. Yep, it's a good sign. Bees are a representation of fertility and community. So I'm here to build community, and I'm here to do it in a way in which everyone grows, including myself. So if you're interested in joining, this little hat right here, if you're on the video, not the podcast, is a symbol of the philanthropic men's group that we have called Ubuntu Fellowship. So if you're interested in joining a community online of guys that are all interested in growing, not only in one area, but in all walks of life to become more whole and to become more connected, then consider clicking the link below to apply. And then if you're interested in reaching out to me for any other means, comment below or check out my social media profiles. See you in the next one.